This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cannavale. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, November 21st, is a New York Giants legend. Obviously, as a Patriots fan, I can't stomach that. But, he was a good player. He played 15 years as a defensive end for the New York Giants. All with the Giants. He's actually got the most single-season quarterback sacks in a year, although that's kind of controversial because of the circumstances. And his last professional game saw the Giants win Super Bowl 42 against the Pats. However, after retiring from the NFL, he actually was a football analyst on Fox NFL Sunday and was a co-host of Good Morning America and Live with Kelly and Michael for 4 years, winning 2 daytime Emmys. So he actually hosts Pyramid for ABC and joins Good Morning America full time. He's been inducted to the Hall of Fame since 2014. He is Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan today is 51 years old and grew up in Houston. His father actually fought Ken Norton a couple times and won at least one, but that was before Ken Norton was big. I think that was just amateur and all that. He went to Germany and all that because his family was in the army. But he found out that he could play well in college football. So he did. He went to college football with Texas Southern. You're thinking, Texas Southern? That's not much of a school. Well, it's a SWAC school, Southwestern Athletic Conference, and a black college, historic black college, if you will. Strahan was so dominant as a defensive end for Texas Southern, he drew double teams, which meant that the defense could go get someone else. Strahan looked like he was a prospect. And he looked pretty good. He led the SWAC as a junior with 14.5 quarterback sacks. So he was ready to be drafted. So he was picked in the 93 NFL draft. But he was picked. He was picked 40th overall. In fact, he was the 7th defensive end picked in the draft. Cincy, with the 5th pick, went with John Copeland from Alabama. Tampa went with Eric Curry of Bama after Bama's surprising national title, in a sense. Denver went with Dan Williams. Sanford with Todd Kelly. New England with Chris Slade. And the Jets with Coleman Rudolph. Shows you how bad the defensive end stuff is. Well, Copeland and Curry were decent in college, but, when it translates to the pro game, not so much. The only other decent defensive end drafted was Michael McCurry by Seattle. So Strahan went to work. He was drafted by the Giants in 93. He couldn't play much because of injuries. But in 97, he had a breakout season and made people remember who he is. He got to the Pro Bowl making 14 sacks. And then in 98, he got 15 sacks. And got a second Pro Bowl. Strahan helped the Giants get to the 2001 NFC title game against the Minnesota Vikings. After the Giants crushed Minnesota 41-0 in the NFC title game, they looked poised against Baltimore. Unfortunately, Baltimore's defense was just impressive and held the Giants to only 7 points. Those 7 points were a kickoff return for a touchdown. Strahan wasn't too sure about it. All that. Strahan thought he wanted a better deal, so he rejected the first deal. Tiki Barber, his teammate, called him out for being selfish and all that. And the Giants thought they would trade Strahan, but thankfully for the Giants, Strahan changed his mind and took the offer. Strahan was just that damn dominant. The 2001 season was his his opus, if you will. He put up 22.5 sacks, the highest tally since it was an official stat in 1982. But who knows if the stat was before 1982, would that be number one? Anyway, Mark Gastineau of the Jets had 22, and obviously the Jets and Giants have a rivalry, so Strahan's like, I gotta beat that mark. In the final game where the Giants take on the Packers, Strahan sacked Brett Favre. However, Brett Favre slid down so that Strahan could get the sack. And it's kind of terrible and all that. And many of the Giants' defensive players actually patted Favre on the helmet, signaling some kind of issue. But Favre denied that it was on purpose. Well, it might have been on purpose. Anyway, for the Giants, he looked pretty good. Anyway, Strahan would finally break the Giants franchise record for most career sacks, which had Lawrence Taylor. All that. So anyway, the rumors Strahan was going to hang him up after 14 seasons, but he came back for a 15th, and it was a decent season. Strahan and the Giants were underdogs in all four playoff games they were in. The wildcard game in Tampa, well, I kind of figured they were going to win over Tampa. Then they went to Dallas to take on the seemingly impossible 13-3 Cowboys of Tito and Romo. Beat them. Then they went to Green Bay at Lambeau Field in the frigid cold. Beat them. And then took on the Pats in Super Bowl 42, who were 17-0. No, not 17-0. 18-0. But Strahan put up 2 tackles and a sack, and the Giants upset the Pats 17-14. It was just unbelievable. It was just a strong defense and unrelenting pass rush. They kind of knew they had to get at Tom Brady and disrupt his pattern. Strahan then would retire June of 2008, just before the season. But he came back to honor the Giants in their Super Bowl thing. He put up 141.5 sacks, 4 career interceptions. 1 was a pick 6 in overtime. Strahan got into the Hall of Fame on his second attempt. Anyway, he did what he could. It took until 2021 for the Giants to finally retire its number 92, which was sad and all that. And Strahan actually flew into space above the Blue Origin plane. At 6'5", he's the tallest person to fly in space. I think there's a rule of thumb. You have to be a certain height to be an astronaut. So in his career from 93 to 2007 with the Giants, he played 216 games, picked up 141.5 sacks with 4 interceptions, including 1 pick 6. Well, 2 pick 6s, but 1 in overtime, as I said. He was Defensive Player of the Year in 2001, still holds the single-season sack record to this day. Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Black College Hall of Fame in the same year in 2014, finally got his number 92 retired. So Strahan, after retiring, would join Fox NFL Sunday pregame show with Kurt Menefee, Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, and Jimmy Johnson. And Strahan was told to host the Thursday night pregame show when Fox got Thursday Night Football for 2018, alongside Bradshaw and Law. But that wasn't all Strahan could do. Strahan co-hosted live with Regis and Kelly when Regis was absent from the show. And then Regis left November 2011, leaving an empty spot. After 20 guest appearances over 2 years, Strahan was made Ripa's new co-host September 2012, making it live with Kelly and Michael. It actually ended up being a rating success. But then Strahan would leave April 2016 to be full time on Good Morning America, even though he won 2 daytime Emmys. Anyway, he did all that, and he's been the host of $100,000 Pyramid, The Revival, since 2016. Anyway, Strahan did a few things. Went on a few commercials and all that. And nothing. So, anyway, his uncle Art played a few years in the NFL in the 60s. He was married to his first wife for 4 years and having 2 kids. But Strahan divorced that, and then in '99 married another girl and had 2 daughters. But they were divorced in 2006. Anyway, yeah. He's known for his philanthropy, and Michael Strahan's a good icon for the Giants community. And you can believe that. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.